those seem to jump back and forth rather quickly. One moment I'm in the positive and one moment I'm in the rather less than positive, right? But the choice is mine. Through my divine gift of power, I take command of my thoughts and my life. I release thoughts of powerlessness, and as I do, my negative self-talk diminishes. I affirm my divine inheritance of faith, wisdom, understanding, and strength with my thoughts, words, and actions. The power to live a full life is mine. I embrace insights I've gained through experience. I own my mistakes without shame or embarrassment. I am eager to learn. I am willing to try new things and stretch myself. In power, I thrive. And Proverbs 18:21, what an important verse to remember this morning. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. Take a breath of that. Did you know that your thoughts and words were that powerful? Well, welcome to Unity. Because we talk about that a lot around here, don't we? Yes, we do. Hey, before we get started with a song this morning, just a quick couple of reminders. We have membership orientation tomorrow evening via Zoom at 6:30. If you're interested in becoming a member of Unity, or you'd just like to find out more about Unity, you have some questions, that sort of thing, please plan on joining us at 6:30. You can sign up on the website on the events calendar when you go to that event, but we also have a sign-up sheet in-house, and I'm going to ask, maybe Kayla, you can get that started on the back row and just pass it up. Make sure everybody gets a chance to have at that if you want to sign up for the orientation. That's, of course, so you can get the Zoom link to the class tomorrow night. We want to thank a couple of people for some work that they did yesterday at the Ronald McDonald House. They went and made a meal, and that is Terry. Is Terry here this morning? No. Well, how about Ron?
No, John and Linda.
Oh, John and Linda.
Yes.
Sorry. At the yes, John and Linda. Yeah, there you are. So they went and fixed a meal at the Ronald McDonald House. So we are so appreciative of them doing that. I heard they had a tremendous time. So thank you for that. And then the third thing I want to mention is that we have a sign-up sheet for name tags. There have been some requests for name tags to make a reappearance. So there's a sign-up sheet in the bookstore area back there. And if you would like to have a name tag made up for you, please sign up there. That's all I have.
Unless you're a secret agent. You don't want anybody to know. Let's all stand together. Hey, it's great to see you today. Why don't you greet someone and welcome them this morning. Tell them you're glad that they're here. We're so glad to be together in unity. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. Oh, we're so glad to be together in unity. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. Come on in as we gather for a while. Give a hug and share a smile. Come on in and meet a friend and be accepted as you are. Oh, we're so glad to be together in unity. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. Oh, we're so glad to be together in unity. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. Oh, we're so glad to be together in, where are we? Unity. All right, give somebody a high five and say thank you for showing up. And you may be seated. Would like to invite the children to come on up front at this time. Come on down, guys. Yeah. It's not luck, it's skill. That's right. I guess you guys back there are just going to hang out. Okay, that's fine. All right. God is, and I am. I create, and I pray, and I act on the truth that I know. God is, and I am. I create, and I pray, and I act on the truth that I know. There is only one God. There is only one love. All right. Let's send them off to their class with a blessing. We love you. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. We appreciate you. And we bless your teachers too. All right. Did all the energy just leave the room?
It's still leaving.
There's a lot of energy there.
Yeah.
Lots of energy.
Thank you, Gary.
How you feeling this morning? Did you have your tea or your coffee or your hot water with lemon? Or your hot chocolate? What else do people drink in the morning?
Water.
Water? Yeah. Okay. All right. You got to have your quota. How many know what we're talking about today? OOMPA. Say with me. OOMPA. Not Oompa Loompa, but just OOMPA. The last couple of weeks we talked about the two O's. The first one is omnipotence, which is the one power, the one presence in my life and in the universe, the all-loving goodness of God. And then we talked about omnipresence. Omnipresence, which is that the all are one and the one is all. The one is the many, and the many are the one. Did you get that? That's the truth. Yeah, we are all one. We're all one. Even though there are many, the many are the one, and the one is the many. And so we know that God is good and that we are good. Let's say that together. God is good and we are good. Let's try it again. Ready? God is good and we are good. Yes.
Yeah.
That's so important to know and to understand and to believe, right?
Yeah.
What we're talking about are the 5 principles of unity. Unity doesn't have a doctrinal statement that you must believe these 150 things or you're going to hell. It is the idea that there are certain principles that make life work. Okay? And when you know those principles and you operate and live your life in operation and working those principles, then you move along the spiritual path and you're able to grow and to change and to evolve. Ask the person next to you, say, how do I look now? I'm evolving.
I'm evolving. You know, each of these 5 principles are so beautiful in their own way. Those first 2, if you can get the idea that God is good and that we are good, that is huge. That really is life-shifting.
Foundational.
Life-changing. Yes. Because then you can look at other people and see the things that they do and understand that they still are a part and piece of the divine, the Christ. Maybe they just haven't come to that realization yet, but still, There is that divine within them. And that no matter what we do, we are still good. Yes, the behaviors that we engage in sometimes are less than stellar, right? But at the heart of it, at the center of our being, we are inherently good. That is life-changing. If you view all the messages that you get through that prism, through that lens, too, it really is life-altering. It really is. This morning, we're going to focus on this third principle, the M of OOMPA, which is about mind or manifestation. So the third principle is that we are co-creators. That's a very important word in this. We are co-creators with divinity, creating our experience through thoughts held in mind. How many of you have heard the saying, where thoughts go, some of you have heard it, energy flows, right? What you give your attention to increases or grows. So we create the flow and direction of our lives through our way of thinking, feeling, believing, and attitudes. Now, how many of you can see the connection between the first two, that if you understand that God is good and we are good, what bearing that can have on our way of thinking, feeling, believing, and our attitudes about things? See the importance of that and how they link up? So the energy that we resonate, the energy of our being, what we resonate and put out, sends a signal to the universe that we are open to positive flow. Guess what it also sends out? The message that we're open to negative flow. Right? By what we're putting out, either the positive or the negative. So the law of mind action is that thoughts are the blueprint for the reality in this physical world. The chair that you're sitting on was first a thought in someone's mind. This building was a thought in the mind of the board and the congregation at the time we put it together. We began to visualize what it might look like, and a blueprint was put together of what the building would look like. Everything that is created is first a thought in mind. Do you see that? There is nothing that's created that is not first a thought. What you see in this manifest world was all created in the mind. In the mind. Likewise, our business plans, our career, our dreams, our goals, our health, all of those things, our experiences begin in the mind. Jesus said all things are possible to them that believe. All things. Not these 10 things, but not these 5. All things are possible to them that believe. Anthon St. Martin, and I don't know who this is, but this is a really great quote. You are one thing only. You are a divine being, an all-powerful creator. You are a deity in jeans and a t-shirt, and within you dwells the infinite wisdom of the ages and the sacred creative force of all that is, will be, or ever was.
Yes.
Yes.
I would go along with that.
Yeah.
Now today we're going to focus a little bit on what science tells us about this law and why it works and how it works. Does that sound all right? We're going to go inside the mind just a little bit and see on a physical level, which is how we can understand it a little bit better. So
take the woo-woo out of it.
Yeah. Repetitious behavior hardwires your brain. The things you do over and over again hardwires your brain. Neurons in your brain fuse together by doing things over and over again. The thoughts you think create chemicals and make feelings inside of your body. After a while, you'll begin to feel the way you think. And then you think the way you feel. It becomes a loop. Tell the person next to you, say, sometimes I'm loopy. This is how we create a habit or a state of being. How many understand your circumstances don't matter all that much? It's your state of being that matters. Because your state of being is what is causing the process of creation to be brought into manifestation. It's our state of being. That's what matters. So we look at circumstances, we say, oh, this is attacking me, that's getting me, that person's after me, oh, they did this, they said that, oh, those bad, awful people out there. And then what happens? We create bad feelings in our body because we're thinking in ways that create chemicals in the brain that cause us to be stressful and anxious. You know, by the time you're 35 years old, 95% of who you are is memorized by your subconscious programs. Say it with me. Ugh. Is that right? How many understand that no one else did this to you as far as what you think about? Okay? You created the persona or the mask that you wear. You did it. Let's say it together. I own my persona. Now, I've created a James King persona. Some people like it.
I love it.
Right? You've created the persona that you are. The way that you come across in the world. And there's nothing good or bad about that. That's just who you have chosen to show up and express to the world. In some cases, I'm a father. That's the persona I wear. I'm a father. I have 3 sons. And I work with them and talk with them and have, experiences with them. And then I have a granddaughter. And then I have a wife. I'm also a husband. I'm also a minister. I'm also a songwriter. There's so many different things, different parts, aspects of my persona, just like all of us. And it's neither good or bad. It's just who you will allow yourself to be. The thing of it is, your persona is very malleable. Sometimes we think, oh, I'm stuck. I'm just the way that I am, and I can't change. And it's always going to be this. No. How many understand that you can change? Say it with me, I can change. I can change. Your mind will accept whatever you tell it on a consistent and regular basis. Did you know you talk to yourself? I know when I go to the grocery store, I see these folks, they go up to get their cart, and they can't get the buggy out. And then they start talking to it. You get out of there, what's going on? Come on, these blasted things, they're just. And then you see people walking out to their car, and they're saying, oh, I forgot to get the bread. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to go back in. Right? That's just the stuff we do out loud. Those are just words that we speak out loud. That doesn't include all the words that we are thinking inside of our brains, those verbal thoughts. Affirmations are self-talk. And usually we talk a lot about affirmations, which are extremely important because affirmations are affirming or firming up what you think, what you believe, and how you feel. Your attitude. So by developing affirmations that are in alignment with what you really want to be and how you want to think, how you want to feel, how you want to present in the world, then you can become that more and more and more. But it takes saying something positive at least 5 times more than the negative belief that you have. You understand? We did a challenge when we did how to harness the power of your mind. We did a challenge. We said, all right, I want you to come up with 8 affirmations and repeat those 8 affirmations 10 times every day. And then do it 10 times throughout the day. All right? And the idea is that you begin to feed your consciousness with those words, with those affirmations. And you learn to say new and different things to yourself. Because a lot of us are pretty hard on ourselves, you know? And it's hard to feel positive when you're thinking negatively. True? So if you want to change your state of being, you need to affirm what you really desire. And that's what this third principle is all about.
So really, if you think about it, we're kind of like computers. We're kind of like your computer at home. You know, when you look down at the bottom tray and you have all of those little programs that are open down there, and what are they doing? They're slowing your computer down because they're still operating in the background, right? We're like that. We have all of these little subconscious beliefs that are minimized in our tray. They're, you know, we don't openly have them where you're using them, but they're running in the background. And they're producing all of that negative self-talk and everything that is going on that we are unaware of. It is a program running in the background. So really, affirmations, you know, when you experience trouble with your computer, one of the things that they used to, I don't know if they still do this, they used to tell you, well, you got to defrag. Right? You got to defrag your computer, or you got to reboot your computer. You got to make sure everything is shut down. And it's kind of that way with us. The affirmations are sort of like defragging. You know?
The nice thing of it is you can do that every day.
Yeah.
You can start over in any moment.
Yeah.
You know, start fresh.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, one of the ways that we see our minds get tripped up is because of stress. Anybody ever experience any stress? Anybody stressed out this morning before they got here over something, right? But stress is when our body gets out of balance. We were once, long ago, chased by lions and predators, and so we have this fight or flight response within us. And now the lions and the predators have become our in-laws, our outlaws, our kids, the bill collectors, the barista at the Starbucks that's not operating quickly enough because you haven't had your coffee yet and you just don't have the patience, right? And that puts us in that fight or flight response all the time. And so this short-term stress, you know, we get stressed and it's normal. But what happens is this short-term stress becomes sustained and we wind up living in a stressful state. Remember we talked about state of being? If your being is one of stress, what happens is it begins to tax your immune system, stresses your immune system and all your bodily functions, and actually will end up causing harm to your internal being, your physical internal being. So you and I are responsible for the thoughts that produce the stress. This is the one area that we have power over, is our thoughts. Do you have power over what your spouse does? Do you have power over what your neighbor does? Do you have power really over many of the external things that you encounter? Not a lot. But the one thing that you do have power over, you have a choice in, is your thoughts, the power of your thoughts. Teddy Roosevelt is credited with saying, this is great, if you could kick the person in the pants responsible for most of your trouble, you wouldn't sit for a month. Isn't that good? I don't know that he really, but that's what he's.
Oh, you read it on the
saying.
internet.
That's right,
so
on the internet. So
gotta be true.
So thoughts turn on and off, and thoughts turn off and on the stress response. It's like a switch, turning them on, turning them off. Your body is part of the unconscious mind, and if it is in fight or flight mode, then what happens? You kind of become a junkie for an adrenaline rush over and over and over. So that's why sometimes when people are going through their stuff, they may like it because there's a certain amount of adrenaline that's released and they're getting a rush out of it. They just haven't realized that maybe it's not the best rush that they want, right? You don't want to keep repeating that. But what it does over time is it actually will burn up your adrenals. You've heard of adrenal fatigue, right? So it's very common today. We talked not too long ago about how much depression and anxiety our society is currently experiencing due to the pandemic and all of that repercussions involved in that. So, nervousness, hypersensitivity, moodiness. Anybody encountered anybody moody lately? Have you had a little moodiness lately? Anger, resentment, all of these things is this continual presence of stress in our being. And we've become so accustomed to it that we think that that really is the normal way of being.
Yeah.
And we weren't designed to be under this kind of stress this much.
Repeat after me. Say, I don't want to be normal. I want to be natural.
I want to be natural.
Isn't that better?
Yeah. What is normal anyway, except the setting on a washing machine?
That's right. So what happens to us is that we are taught, we have this way of thinking that we've developed, because as soon as you come into the world, people start telling you stuff. This is the way it is, right? And it all has to do with their programming and their belief system, and they want you to get the program. Because they're miserable, and hey, you need to be miserable too, right? Many times. And so what happens is we literally think in the past as if it was happening all over again. We keep, and here's how I like to say it, is we keep remodeling the present so it continues to look like the past. Isn't that interesting? And notice the words I'm using. We keep remodeling the present to look like the past. So how do we break these habits, James? How do we do it? Well, I'm glad you asked. Yeah. Many years of practicing guilt or fear can be overcome by changing your thoughts. Change your mind, change your life. Change your thoughts, change your actions. Change your mind, change the way you feel. Right? That's why it's Charles and Myrtle feel more.
No, it's not.
It depends on your accent.
Those of you that don't know, it's Fillmore.
Well, I like
Fillmore.
Right. So, drugs, alcohol, food, shopping, gambling are all external or can be addictions that temporarily make those bad feelings go away. I mean, you look at somebody who's an addict and say, well, why did they do that? Well, they do it because it helps them to feel better in the moment for a second. Right? But it's temporary. So a part of the brain says, well, it must be a good thing. I feel good whenever I do this. And so your brain, you get locked in that space of doing that gambling over and over. Well, I'll just place a bet and see if I win. Well, I didn't win. Okay, let me try it again. And then after a while, I said, well, now I got to win my money back, right? And it just becomes an addiction, a habit, a trap. How many understand that addictions are traps? And we can use the power of this third principle to begin to unwind and untangle and unmesh ourselves from these addictions. There is a way to do it. There's a way to do it. Let's take a breath together. See, the reason we do these things is for the payoff. You ever see somebody that just constantly is getting angry and screaming at people? Well, there's a payoff for them. That they wouldn't do it. There's some kind of payoff with every kind of behavior that we have, or else we wouldn't do it. Does that make sense? It's the truth. The problem becomes that you will have to have more and more of a thing, and you get angrier and angrier because you got angry once and it seemed like it fixed everything, and people straightened up and started doing what I think that they should be doing, right? And so, hey, I'll use that tool again. Fly off the handle. And then people they're so scared, they're like, And so you just do it more and more until you become a slave to that addiction, whatever it is. So the key is to stimulate the pleasure centers in your body to become addicted to the natural chemicals. You want to be addicted to the natural chemicals inside, because your body is a chemical factory, right? How many believe in better living through, what is that? Chemistry? But I'm not talking about the drugs out there. I'm talking about the drugs in here. You ever have a little dopamine rush? Whoo! Right? That's why laughter is such a beautiful healing gift. Did you know that? Laughter is part of the healing arts, because when you laugh, you're opening yourself up. Okay? Because when you're stuck in a rut, you're just and then somebody says, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? And you laugh over something. It changes your mood. It changes what? Your state of being. And when you laugh, it opens you up to receive more positivity if you're looking in that direction, right? So you want to stimulate those pleasure centers. You want to learn to feel better. You want to feel better. So you want to move toward speaking, thinking, and acting in ways that help you to feel better. That change your mood, right? And here's the thing. When you begin to act upon these principles, the first time you do it, your brain's going to say, who do you think you are? Why, you've been doing this for 100 years. What makes you think that you can change? Right? And that's the way the ego works. Because the ego's job is to keep you stuck, to keep you in the loop, because it feels comfortable. It's comfortable to us, isn't it? That's why people in horrendous situations, it's like, this one guy won the lottery. And him and his wife, they were young. They were like 25. And they won $7 million. This was in Indiana when we lived there. And so for 7 years, every week, they would have food flown in from the coast. Okay? And have a big party. And when they went and bought clothes, they would not just buy one outfit. They would buy the same outfit with all the different colors. They say, I want them all. Because, I've got $7 million. It's unlimited. And so they lived a very extravagant lifestyle. And they started buying homes, all over town and all over different places. And you know what happened to them after 7 years? Yeah. So you switch your high from something outward to the natural feels of well-being on the inside. How many know you can have a party in here? Right? You could imagine what it would be like to wear that new outfit. Oh, yeah, that would be great. And feel good about it. Right? Now, you don't have to go shopping. There is a shopping therapy. And once in a while, that's okay, right? We're not saying that it's wrong to take a drink once in a while. It's wrong to go shopping. It's wrong to whatever, to buy a lottery ticket. It's just that when you get trapped by it, right, and it overtakes you, it overwhelms you, then that becomes a problem.
When we use those things to self-medicate the pain that we're experiencing, So you talked earlier about practice. It takes repetitiveness to learn any new habit, to change a belief. So this idea of practicing something over and over is what we create when we want to establish a new habit. Do it over and over until the new habit takes and the old habit falls away. So that's what happens in this thinking process. In our minds, we're doing something over and over repetitively. If we're thinking victim or martyr thoughts, we'll create for ourselves feelings of suffering and pain. We've talked about that a lot already, right? The suffering and the pain. So we want to move away from that and move into this creating more pleasurable states of being, pleasurable, sustained states of being internally. I don't know if you've heard, but there was some work done with basketball players who would stand at the free throw line and shoot baskets. Shoot. And then they were taken into a room and asked to close their eyes and to just imagine shooting from the free throw line. And do you know that the findings were that they were just as successful in the number of shots they made from doing the imagining as they were from actually standing at the line and doing it physically? That's pretty astounding, right? So even the act of thinking, imagining something, can be as powerful as doing it. Runners and skiers do this. They always see the finish line and they see themselves racing towards it and getting there before anybody else, right? They envision that. They see that. Pole vaulters, they imagine themselves getting the velocity underneath them, whatever it is, underneath them, what they need to get themselves vaulted up over the threshold. It's the envisioning of that. Singers are told if you want to hit the high notes, to envision and feel yourself rising to that note.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
You may have to envision it a few more times, but But Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. If you can dream it, then you can vision it, you can live it out in your imagination, and you can bring it to fruition. If you dream it, you can do it. Now, can you do it tomorrow? Well, let's go back to what we just said earlier. It's the repetitiveness, right? You may have to repeat the practice that you're doing for a while.
But that sounds boring. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and that's why we give up. right? That's why we give up. Oh, this, because that same ego that'll go, you need to eat that piece of chocolate cake because you've had a really rough day and you really deserve it. Go ahead, eat it. And you eat it and then it goes, see, you're no good. You can't stick to a diet. What's wrong with you? It's the same voice, right? So it's the same one that goes, yeah, you can envision that. You can do that. Let's do this thing. And then when you start, it goes, oh, God, this is boring. We got to stop this. It's the same voice. That's where we have to build a little resilience, get a little stick-to-itiveness, right? If it's worth dreaming and it's worth having, then it's worth putting in the practice to get it.
Yeah.
Wow. So we have to master our thoughts in order to master our life. And we do that through mindfulness and awareness in order to use this third principle of the mind or manifestation in a positive way.
Yeah. So what happens inside your mind when you make a new habit? What happens in there? What's going on? Well, something does happen. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Your brain is not just sitting there. There are all kinds of little sparks and electrical activity that's going on inside your brain. Okay? And so the connection between nerve endings break apart when you choose a new belief. And then they start to wire together in a new and more beneficial way. But it doesn't happen one time, 2 times, 3 times. It happens over a period of practice. That's why it's called a what? A spiritual practice. Ooh. Yeah. See, I'd like to be able to play the drums like Jeff plays. But I don't want to put in the work. So guess what? I'm never going to play the drums like he plays. Right? And that's not my area. And that's okay. But, it's like people say all the time, oh, I would love to play the piano, and play and be like Elton John and, whatever. Well, you've got to play hours of every day just like he did in order to do what he does. Make sense? So those connections are happening all the time. Those neurons are breaking apart and coming back together, breaking apart, coming back together. And when they come back together, they fuse together, they wire together, and they become a habit. And here you are. And these little bitty tiny neurons in your head are keeping you in a particular belief. How many know that's not good or bad? It's just the way it is, right? So we learn the new habit by practice, as we were saying, over and over and over and over and over again. You make it into a song. When we were working on this project here, we were meeting in a building on Pleasantburg, a rented building. And so I came up with a little song, and we started singing, we are building this dream, and this place with the water and the acreage, and we see the building, we see the people, and you remember? Yeah, she remembers it. And I actually had people come up and say, James, I think you've sang that song enough. But here's the thing. They begin to memorize it. And those neurons begin to break apart. And all of a sudden, it became an affirmation. It became a what? It became a word of truth. And it broke through. And this property showed up. And we bought it. And we built the building. You see what I'm saying? You see how it works? That's how it works. And so you make a game of it. You make it fun because you like to do fun stuff. You don't like to do stuff that's not fun. So that's why it's important to make it fun. Whatever you do, make it fun so that you can enjoy it. And then you start releasing those good chemicals in your brain, and you go, I'm feeling good here. Woo! Yeah. Let's say it together. Whoopee! Whoopee! Thank you.
So I'm just curious if anybody else remembers that song. We are now creating together. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, affirmations provide the self-talk. They become the thoughts and the feelings of your life. After a while, you begin to say to yourself, I am light. I am love. And you begin to believe it. I am light. I am love. I am peace. I am joy. I overcome. I have wisdom. I have guidance. I have direction in my life. I see clearly now. I know where I'm going. I know what's going on. And those synapses are just kind of synapsing around in there, and the neurons are firing and everything's coming together, on a physical level, And you're embodying the truth of your being. You see, thousands of thoughts will go through your head every single day. Thousands of thoughts. Most of them we don't even, they're just kind of running through. My mother, she's, and the kids are, and the work is and the dog needs to be fed, and I need to remember, and all these thoughts are just running through your head constantly, running through your brain. And the key is to get to, I don't want to say control, but to manage your thoughts. You are the manager of your mind. Make sense? Emerson said, once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's a drop.
That's a drop the mic.
Yeah. But I don't want to drop the mic because then we'd have to buy a new one.
That's right. That is so good. That is so good. There's so, oh my gosh, there's so much that we could go on about this, because that Emerson quote makes me think of Thoreau, who said that, you're moving forward and you pass an unimaginable line where all sorts of things begin happening that were previously, unknown to you. And there's just so much. Myrtle Fillmore, this is important. Myrtle Fillmore said, don't ever let a thought come out of your mouth that you wouldn't want to see come to pass. Now, one thought coming through your, the power of the tongue, one thought coming through is not necessarily going to create anything, right? But that repetitiveness does. And I think that idea of never letting anything come through your mouth that you wouldn't want to have come to pass is the way that we train ourselves to really think about what we're saying, to really manage our thoughts and the things that we verbalize.
More
I think
M
it's
words.
really important.
Yeah. More M words.
Yeah.
M.
M. Like mind.
Yeah.
Manage. Master.
M&Ms.
M&Ms. So we've installed this new way of thinking, put some new programs in our computer, if you will, by not only thinking the new thoughts, but acting them out, putting feeling behind them, because the feeling and the emotion is really important. Knowledge is for the mind, but experience is for the body. And you need both of those things. You need the positive thinking, but you need the emotional connection. You need the experience. So there's a wonderful practice of coming from that which you want. If you wanted to be an artist, perhaps you would get up every day and you would act like an artist would act, or what you think an artist would act like. Perhaps the artist makes a cup of tea and then puts their brushes in the cleaner to get them ready for the day, whatever it is. And so that's part of what you can do physically in an action that helps make that connection to the thinking and the action and the feeling, because the mind and the body work together to create a state of being, right? And that state of being is who I am. That state of being, it's all about, as you said earlier, your state of being. So I think we're at a point where we probably need to wrap it up, because there's so much other directions that we could go. So I want to end on a really important point. Well, a couple of important points. First of all, don't use this principle as a judgment tool for others. This is about you. This is about me. This is not about me looking at someone else and going, oh, well, there's obviously some negative thinking going on over there. They wouldn't be experiencing that, right? That's what we call metaphysical malpractice. We don't ever use our spiritual tools as a weapon or as a judgment tool against someone else, because we remember that everyone's journey is their own. And everyone experiences what they need to experience, and we let that be. So this is for ourselves. The second one is for those of us who have come out of abusive situations. There can sometimes be a tendency to think that this principle absolves all wrongdoing, or that we haven't got scars and wounds that we carry from abusive situations. We do, and we work with those, right? That's part of our practice. That's what we're addressing. But one of the things that we can get into the habit of is we can replay those abusive events over and over. Remember that same ego that talked about the chocolate cake and then abuse? It loves to go down memory lane, and particularly memory lane where it's not really someplace where we want to go. It wants to drag us down those dark alleys, if you will, right? The feeling, and I'm speaking about this one from personal experience on this one, the feeling can be changed to a higher emotion of love and compassion and forgiveness if you will allow yourself to revisit those things in a different way. So remember that past events only exist where? In your mind, in your thinking. And how many of us remember and recognize that if 5 people are present for an event and you ask each one of them what happened, you will get 5 different stories, correct? Also, over time, we like to exaggerate our stories. We like to inject a little more into them.
No.
Yeah. So a story that happened this way, remember the game of telephone, by the time you get around the group, it is completely changed. An experience that happened, by the time we have retold it in our thinking over and over and embellished and added to and taken from, doesn't resemble anything like the original experience. So what does that tell you? That tells you that that memory, that experience that exists in your mind, in your thinking, can be changed. So one of the things that I did, I had a horrific event that happened in my childhood that haunted me. And one of the things that I began to do was when that memory would come up, I would put myself in that situation with my adult self. And my adult self would say, "You are safe. You're going to be fine. You're going to grow up and be just fine. I would soothe myself. And over a period of time, I got to the point where I could actually see the events of that experience be different. No longer was this particular thing happening, but now I was choosing to see it as something else happening. And that was a way of rewiring that event in my thinking, in my memory bank, so that now when it comes up, I have it's there if I really think about it, but the wound, the pain of it is so blunted. It is so different. It's transformed through the love and the forgiveness, right? So don't let yourself get caught in ruminating on things that you can change if you choose to want to see them differently.
You can't change what happened.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
You can change the way that you remember them. If we're always remembering that pain and coming from that place of seeing it and enhancing it and making it, it's just worse than it was, we're just feeding that victimhood and that martyrdom and so forth. And that's just not a healthy place for us to hang out. That's just not where we want to be. We want to elevate that state of being to one that is higher than that feels better than that. So practice the higher emotions until they're all you feel. Just practice, practice, practice. And over time, it will get easier. So this is a simple process, not necessarily an easy one, right? It is simple, but it takes that repetitiveness and that stick-to-itiveness, and over time, it will get easier for you to do. Just make a plan, make a commitment, and go with it. Remembering your third principle, you are co-creators with the divine. M, mind, manifestation.
Beautiful.
Management.
Yeah.
All that.
All of it.
All of it. All right.
Movement.
Movement.
Let's take a breath together. As we turn down the lights, just kind of settle in for just a moment. No matter where you're at, what's going on in your life, whatever habit or addiction, care, whatever past event, there's nothing you can do about the past. It just is what it is. But there's something we can do about how we think about it. That's the key. That's the key. It's important that you soothe that little girl, that little boy inside yourself. And that you extend unconditional love, peace, and forgiveness to that part of yourself. It's important to be present, to be here, now. Come into the moment and quiet down the mind. Reach into your spirit, touching the divine.
Let's explore the beauty that truly lies within. The soul that has been waiting just to be your friend.
And listen for that small, still voice that speaks inside your soul. Allow the healing presence to do the work, and you are whole. And listen for that small, still voice that speaks inside your soul. Allow the healing presence to do the work, and you are whole. Allow the healing presence to do the work, and you are whole. So take a breath right now and find your center space. Just let yourself settle in right here, right now. And let us have a meeting of the mind. What is it that needs to change in your life? Are you ready to make that change? Are you ready to empower yourself and begin to take the steps necessary to make the change? Know that you are absolutely loved. And whether you make the changes or not, you're always going to be loved. Love is not conditional, it's unconditional. It just is. So let's settle that once and for all. I am loved, and I am love. And I'm free to make those changes. As you do your part, then Spirit will do the rest. We just have to make the decision and begin our journey toward wholeness. Picking up the tools along the way that come to us. And do the practice. Do it every day. And do it with joy. Do it with laughter. Do it with love. And a little bit at a time. It might be just incremental. And there may be some starts and stops, whatever it is. But at some point, you're going to cross the threshold of a new way of being, a new way of thinking, a new way of believing, a new attitude, a new quality about you that is confident, that is assured. So if you're ready for that, I invite you to ask for help. Ask the Holy Spirit for guidance, for help, to remind you who you really are. A child of the universe, a child of the divine. You're a good kid. You're a good kid. So be gentle with you. Be gentle with yourself. Makes it a whole lot better when you can do that. And so this morning, if there is a burden that you've been carrying, if there's someone on your heart that you want to pray for, I invite you to whisper their names aloud at this time. And just bring them into this moment that we're sharing together. This community of spirit and peace and healing. Just surround them with your love, with your compassion. And let us see them as they truly are, beings of wholeness and light. We see all things resolving to the positive good. Feel that this morning. Everything is resolving to the positive good right now. We say prayers today for our world and for all that's happening. We affirm peace. We affirm joy. We affirm happiness, goodness, kindness in the world. For all people, everywhere. For the healing of the body, the mind, and the soul of humanity. And so I invite you now to take this inside. And let's just wait for just a moment in the quiet. And so now we give thanks and appreciation in the name of the goodness, the loving kindness, and the nature of the Christ, and of spirit and of divinity. And so it is. And so it is.
So it is.
I invite you to bring your awareness back into the room. Take a moment to stretch. Stretch it out. Yeah. I want to invite our platform assistant to come up at this time.
morning. I'm Angie, and I'm serving as a platform assistant this morning. And so welcome to everyone, and here's what's happening this week. Today, right after the service, there'll be a meeting for the Women for Unity. And it'll take place here in the sanctuary, and all ladies are invited to join for an inspirational planning session as we dream about our hopes and vision for the year ahead. And also today at 2 p.m., there is a spiritual walk to healing, headaches and other afflictions with visiting author Elizabeth Anson Phelps. Is Elizabeth here?
Elizabeth, would you come up and
Oh, you're Elizabeth.
take a moment and tell us what you're doing today?
I liked her the minute I saw her. We were smiling at each other earlier. It's like, oh my God, it's you. I'm Elizabeth Phelps. I did write a book about healing headaches. My journey, as it turns out, relates to a lot of afflictions. And it is full of stories. And this afternoon at 2, while we'll touch on some mind, body, spirit wholeness healing, and energy medicine, we're going to really go down to the fundamentals of what has to happen for people to heal. I called Dr. Buchholz at Johns Hopkins on Friday to talk to him about coming and doing this today. I said there's so much to talk about, from the basics and the walking into the shallow end of the pond, into the deep end of the pond if you want to, where the underbelly of healing really lives, because it's all about you being you and authentic and without anything causing you to be anything other than the exquisite creature that you really are. You weren't born with this stuff. Most of us did not have crack mamas. And your talk today, it was kind of amazing, my struggle over there, because they kind of talked about a lot of the things that are so important to me about healing. So thanks for setting it up.
Oh, no problem. It's our pleasure.
I did you what?
I said our pleasure.
Anyway, I'll be out there I'll be signing books after the service, but the talk's at 2, and I would love to see you. And I'm just getting my sea legs under me about talking about this and doing presentations about it. We'll do questions and answers and all that. We only have a short time to cover so much, but I would love your feedback too. It might help me for future work, because I'm starting to get out and just, it can't help anybody if they don't know about it, so thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Good book, too, by the way. I've read it. Good book.
Thank you. Tomorrow evening, there is, as you mentioned earlier, the orientation meeting, new member orientation, at 6:30 on Zoom. Do they still need to register online if they've...
You can either register here in person or online.
Okay. Same goes for the world out there.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and Monday evening also at 7 o'clock is the first Unity C class? SEE?
Class.
Yes, SEE class.
Don't know what that is. What is that?
Those are the classes that to get you started in Unity.
Okay.
If you want to learn more about Unity and
Metaphysics.
tremendous.
This one's on metaphysics.
This one's on metaphysics. Yeah.
Unity C class Metaphysics 2 with licensed Unity teacher Nancy Jacklaw. And it is also online, and you need to register on the website. Wednesday evening, we'll have drumming with Jeff Holland. And you can join in the circle for connection and creativity, and he provides all the percussion instruments. And the rest, let's see, the website is unitychurchofgreenville.org, and you can go on there for details for both in-person and online events. Any first-timers today? No first-timers? There's one. Welcome.
And we hope you received a welcome packet when you came in. And if you fill out a connection card, you can place it in the box back there in the corner. And also to the online community, send in your email address in the chat feed. And that is if you would like more information about the church. We have prayer chaplains available. Oh, okay, 2. Okay, so they'll have the white stoles on. And then you can meet if you choose to pray back in this room on the left as you go out that door. Whatever, that's my left. You can also leave a prayer request in the prayer box at the back of the sanctuary, and it will be prayed over. And then there's also Silent Unity as a resource for you by phone, online, and in their app. Lastly, let's thank all volunteers for today. And that's it.
Thank you. Good job for your first time. Very good.
Did the new member orientation sign-up sheet make it all the way around? And where is it now?
Back
Okay,
here.
right back there. So if you need it is back there.
All right. Beautiful. Okay. We're going to receive our offering now. And so we just ask that you give and do the best that you can. And we really, really appreciate it. It's important that we have consistent giving. And if you want to be part of that, then you can always sign up and have it deducted from your account each month, or however that you would like to do. Or you can just give here right now as well. And so let's say together, Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all I receive, and all that I am. There you go. Thank you. Okay, we were talking about how that the third principle works. And so we've got a little song that we sing. A lot of churches sing in unity. And we're going to do it this morning. And so whenever you're ready to stand up after, you've given your $1,000 check, then please feel free to stand up. Or whatever you decide to give. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad that every little cell in my body is happy and well. Well, every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad that every little cell in my body is happy and well. Well, every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. And I know you probably think we're done, right? Can you sing it a little faster? Can we do it? Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. Now give yourselves a hand. Yeah. All right. Now, the idea for some of these songs is that they get inside of you. God is, we sing it every week, and people, their eyes roll. Oh, yeah, we're going to sing it again. But the thing of it is, you got to keep singing it over and over and over and over. Keep saying it to yourself. Keep practicing it because it becomes who you are, if that's who you want to be. Right? Yeah. All right. Let's take a breath together. Let's do our statement now together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. For wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Enjoy your day.